Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Carly. I am going to be restarting my YouTube channel. I started YouTube like 2 years ago, and I think I have like 2 makeup videos up there, and I'm going to keep them up just because I find them hysterical now. But yeah, I want to restart my YouTube channel. It's going to be all things Carly. So it's going to be lifestyle, beauty, just everything that I am interested in and involve myself with. So this first video that I'm going to be posting is going to be my pregnancy vlog up until this point. I've been wanting to do a pregnancy vlog for so long and I just haven't gotten the time to do it. And now that I'm on bed rest, I have nothing else to do. So we're just going to jump right into it, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, so the first thing we'll go over is probably just how I found out, because, you know, I feel like that's a big part of it. So I found out on March 10th. It was a Sunday, and leading up to that Sunday, like the week before, my whole family and Brian had their suspicions that I was pregnant, and I did not. I definitely did not think I was pregnant. So that Thursday night, before I found out, I went to dinner with Brian. We went to a Mexican food restaurant. Everything was so good. Everything was so fresh. And the food was just awesome. And me and Brian ordered virtually the same thing. Why did I just say virtually? That's like not even... So once we went home, I immediately started throwing up. I threw up twice that night. And I was just super nauseous all night. So the next day we were supposed to go to an A-Boogie concert. It was supposed to be that Friday. We were supposed to go to New York for it. And I immediately knew the next morning that I could not go. I just still felt nauseous. I still felt sick. And I would just move and I'd be ready to throw up. So we had to sell the tickets. And we didn't end up going. I stayed home all day. So that night Brian looked at me and was like, "Babe, you're pregnant. You need to take a test." So he went and got me 2 tests. He got me 3 tests. So that night I took 2 of them. They both came back negative. And mind you, they say you're supposed to take the pregnancy test in the morning just because that's when the hormone is going to be most present in your urine. But regardless, I didn't listen and I took it anyway. So they both came back negative. I looked at him. I was like, "See, I told you so. Your girl's not pregnant." And I totally believed that I wasn't pregnant. So Saturday comes, I was fine. I was definitely exhausted, but I definitely wasn't as nauseous. So Sunday comes, it's Sunday morning, and I wake up to just use the bathroom really quick, and I decided to take the last test. I have 1 more test left. So I'm sitting there, I take it, I put it on the back of the toilet, and I'm sitting there scrolling on my phone, and I kind of forgot that I took it. So I get up to wash my hands, and I look over, and I realize, oh shit, you took the test, go check it. So I pick it up, I look at it, and my eyes, I feel like they bulged out of my head, because they said yes. So I immediately called my mom, I FaceTimed her, and I told her, I just flipped the camera on the phone, and I was like, "Mom." She starts crying. And then she calls my dad. He starts crying. Everybody is all emotional and excited. So then I finally worked up the courage to go back into our bedroom and tell Brian. So I wake him up and I look at him and I said, "Babe, you're right. We're going to be parents." So we both start crying. We're both shocked. And he was just so sweet. That night he bought me flowers. He took me to dinner to Maggie McFly's because that's my favorite restaurant. And then he took me to get my toes and nails done. So he was super sweet about it. And he's just amazing. So as far as symptoms go, the first trimester, okay, let me disclaim this first. So my pregnancy up until about 32 weeks has been a walk in the park. It's been so amazing, and just easy. I don't want to say easy, but it has just been an amazing pregnancy. So all of these symptoms that I'm mentioning weren't intense symptoms. They're not they didn't take over my life. But there's still things that I noticed that are worth mentioning. So the first trimester, definitely exhaustion. You know, your body goes through so many changes. So I was definitely exhausted a lot. Then at nighttime, I would become super nauseous if I ate too much. So like my appetite decreased. And if I ate more than I felt like I wanted to, I would definitely just feel sick and feel heavy. But I wouldn't throw up. And then skin sensitivity. My skin definitely became more sensitive. And I normally have sensitive skin to begin with. So it was definitely weird to see how sensitive it got, because I didn't think my skin could get more sensitive. So I had to stop using all my skincare products, makeup, for about like 2 months. And I would just break out in these red hives if it got really irritated. But that stopped once the second trimester hit. So second trimester, it was a cakewalk. I was loving life in the second trimester. I was living my best pregnancy life. The only things that I really experienced, heartburn was number one. It started super early with her, so I'm anticipating that she's going to be very hairy. But besides the heartburn, I would get round ligament pain and just Braxton Hicks, which is like typical for the second trimester. The third trimester, dry skin. So I currently have like this huge dry patch around my mouth, like around my smile line. And no matter what I do, it just won't go away. It's flaking. It's so inflamed and red and disgusting. Let me see. Heartburn continued throughout the third. Back pain, which your whole center of gravity shifts, so that's kind of like to be expected. And then just my appetite has like skyrocketed. When I tell you, the first and second trimester, I was not hungry. The third, I feel like I'm making up for absolutely everything. Every time I didn't eat in my life, I feel like I'm making up for it right now. I am so hungry all the time. I don't know how I keep eating, but it's fine. The little girl is going to be a little chunker. So that's just where I'm at with symptoms. So cravings. I really haven't had any like crazy strong cravings except for one, and it's been in the third trimester, but we'll get to that. So the first trimester, I was just craving like steak and cheese, like meat and cheese. That is all I wanted. And I think it's just because in the beginning, like your body craves what it needs. So, you know, your blood volume doubles. So at that point, I needed all the iron from the steak, and then cheese, probably just the calcium for the baby's bones. But I'm not a cheese person or a dairy person, so it's been very weird. Like, that's probably the weirdest craving I've gotten, is just the cheese, just because of how much I've hated it before. The second trimester, definitely chicken salad. I would make Brian go to this little deli we have near the house, and I would have him get me like this chicken salad in a container, and it was like this big, and I would eat it straight out of the container. So definitely chicken salad. Let me see, strawberry acai from Starbucks. I just love fruit juice, like cold fruit juice. Like even now, like I just need juice in the house, and I've never really drinking anything but water. Like all I really drink is water. Like I'm not like a huge soda person, not a huge juice person, but lately, all I want is juice. So the third trimester, when I tell you this is like a real craving, like I crave this every night. I have to have it before I go to bed every night. Oreos. I have at least like 6 Oreos every night before bed. Just like when I dunk them in the milk and like they get like a little soggy. I'm having some after this video. I love Oreos. That's like the one thing that I have craved every single day. Everything else, like I'll get a craving here and there. I'll be like, you know what sounds good? Or like, oh, I want that tonight for dinner. But Oreos is my tried and true, like through thick and thin, my craving. Okay, so not that many, but you know. So I'm currently on bed rest, as anyone like who follows me on Instagram or anything like knows. So I hit 32 weeks in 2 days. That's a Friday for me, because I turn over every Wednesday. So on a Friday, 32 weeks in 2 days, I started to notice almost cramps, like almost like a period cramp. And I was like, okay, it's probably just Braxton Hicks. And then once I started drinking water, like I started chugging water and trying to like change my position, and it didn't go away, I was like, okay, I feel like this is different. So that morning, I called my doctor around 7, or I called the office, and they immediately called me back, and they're like, okay, why don't you go to labor and delivery? We'll just hook you up to the monitor and see if you're having contractions. So I was like, okay. It was not what I was expecting them to say. I was expecting them to just be like, okay, like, you can come into the office today. We have this time available. We'll check it out. So I go to labor and delivery. They hook me up to the monitor, and I was having contractions. So then they decided, like, okay, let's do a cervical exam. So they checked my cervix, and I'm already 50% effaced. I wasn't dilated, but the fact that I've already thinned out halfway, like that my cervix is thinned out halfway at 32 weeks, that was kind of like alarming. I know women can go weeks being dilated and still not have the baby, but the fact that I was having the contractions was kind of alarming. So, or at least it was alarming to me. The doctor sent me home. He didn't do anything for the contractions. I left having contractions. So Saturday comes, and I was taking it easy. I stayed home all day Friday. I pretty much stayed home all day Saturday. I went to my friend's son's soccer game, and I walked from the field to my car and back, and I was like doubled over. I was like, okay, like what is happening? I was like, is this round ligament pain? I'm like having contractions still. So I go home, chug a bunch of water, lay in bed on my left side, like all the things they tell you to do to get contractions to stop if they're just Braxton Hicks, and they weren't stopping. So I called my doctor again, and it was around like 4 this time, like 4:30, and he told me, he was like, okay, go to labor and delivery again. We might have to give you something to stop the contractions. So I go. They hook me up to the monitor. I'm still having contractions. They were very close together. They weren't super long, but they were very close together, so it felt like I was just having one huge contraction. So then, and they hooked me up with an IV. They gave me 2 bags of fluids. They gave me a corticosteroid shot to help the baby's lungs development. And then they gave me a shot of terbutaline, which is meant to stop the contractions. So around 10 o'clock that night, they discharged me. The contractions stopped, and everything looked good. So 3:30 in the morning, I wake up, and I start crying because I already knew it. Like, I knew I had to go back. I woke up from the contractions, and it's not like they were painful, but I knew they were there, and I knew I had to go back. So I go back. They hooked me back up to the IV. They gave me 3 more bags of fluid that day. They gave me this pill called nifedipine, which I currently have to take every day. So they gave me nifedipine, and then they gave me my last corticosteroid shot. So they put me on bed rest until I saw my doctor, and then once I saw my doctor, he put me on bed rest, like for real, and was like, okay, you can't do anything, like you can't go back to work until, after postpartum, or until after you give birth. So now I'm taking a daily dose of nifedipine. It is actually like a calcium blocker, so it actually stops smooth muscle contractions, and it's actually meant to help your blood pressure. But because my blood pressure is fine, normally it drops my blood pressure really low and makes my eyes bulge out of my head. So the side effects from the pill are honestly worse than the contractions, but it stops the contractions, so I have to take it. So that's where I'm at. I'm on bed rest. Once I hit 35 weeks, which is next week, I'm 34 weeks today. So once I hit 35 weeks, they're going to have me stop taking the pill, and then if she comes, she comes. So I could be having a baby in a week. I could be having a baby in 6 weeks. Who knows? Or 5 weeks. Oh my god. No, 6 weeks. I'm 34 weeks. Okay, 6 weeks. I could be having a baby in a week or 6 weeks. Who knows? So yeah, that is just where I'm at, and that has been my pregnancy up to this point. I have loved every minute of it, and I'm so excited for her to be here. She definitely has to wait though, but I'm very excited for my daughter to be here.